4572, day 983, or any day, please visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572. That's LLS.org, 1-800-955-4572.
All of your favorite 1017 The Truth content whenever you want. The Truth app has it all. The Truth is on 1017 and 1510 WGKB Waukesha, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time! It's time! It's beta time!
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am your host, Kyle Wallace of Truth to Power, and we are live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the 3rd Street Market Hall in the Avenue. Happy Monday. I would say it's a beautiful Monday. It's a beautiful day, but as some of y'all might have seen after you got into the office, and you may have looked at the window, or as going in the office or traveling on the roads, however you get to work or whatever you do, you may have noticed some of those snow flurries that hit us this morning. But again, it is a beautiful day to be alive, and it's 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talk to text line. You can call in, you can text in. As always, shout out to my boy DJ Brother Z holding it down on the ones and twos as always. And I also want y'all to watch and stream us live on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type in 101.7 in YouTube, and then go ahead and give us a thumbs up, because you know you love everything that's truth related. But then on top of that, go ahead and subscribe to us so you never miss any of your favorite shows. As I know y'all was loving, of course, The Truth with Sherwin Hughes previously, because I saw how many of y'all was watching that. So come on. Now, to get started for today, to kick off the week, I have a great guest that I'm excited to have right now. You see a lot of things happening, and I think it's always good to be talking about how can you save, how can you budget, how can we take a look at credit and different things like that. And I'm excited to welcome in Victor Frazier, Director of Community Engagement at Educators Credit Union, a place I'm at also a proud member of as well. Victor, how you doing? Welcome into Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. How you going? How you doing today?
I am doing great. I just love the positivity. Even make us feel good about this crummy weather out here today, Kyle.
Yes, gotta make us feel great about this crummy weather. But what I want to do is, Victor, I want you to come on. You're an expert, right? You work for Educators Credit Union. A lot of people, anybody listening here, either is a member or has heard of Educators and knows the support that not only they have here on 1017 The Truth, but in the community through different scholarships and things that you do. But you want to educate people on some of the great tools that you all offer at Educators Credit Union. So I want to start with this. The economy is going crazy right now. We all kind of see the swings, the highs, and the low. Why is now a great time to start thinking about saving with educators?
Yep, now is a really great time because everybody is top of their mind, right? We have a lot of things going on in the economy. Anybody that's opened up their 401k, website lately has probably been like, oh, goodness. And also, don't forget tax day is right around the corner, too, so everybody's top of mind, their financials. So I really recommend now is a great time if you kind of look back at your taxes and say, man, where did all that money go that I made over the last 2024? That's what everybody does, right? You look at your W-2 and you start thinking, man, I made that much money. Where did it all go? Now is an excellent time for you to sit down and start thinking about your goals financially. What do you want to accomplish, right? You want to thrive. You don't want to just survive with your money. So if you have somebody in the household, I always recommend this, carve out some time in your week. Just sit down and say, hey, what are goals that we want to save for in 2025? I know we're a little, 3-4 months in already, but tax time is really when people start thinking more and more about money, and then everybody has been watching the big swings in the economy. So sit down, set some goals, and if they're just small goals, like, hey, we want to have $1,000 saved up. One of the things I love about ECU, Educators Credit Union, is that we have a whole host, Bonsai Direct on our website. There's like a budget calculator where it'll tell you, hey, I want to save $5,000 up. It'll break it down. It'll do the math for you, right? Nobody likes to do math anymore. It'll do the math. It says, okay, every other week, here's how much you need to put up into that special account. So just one, sitting down and having an honest conversation about what are your financial goals for 2025. The market's going to do what the market's going to do. We can't control that. And a good, solid plan should be able to weather some of the storms that are going to be coming.
No, I agree. A good, solid plan can definitely do that, as we're having to weather a storm right now, but that is why it's so important to have a bank like Educators Credit Union that can help you with weathering that storm. Now, you talked about some of the different offerings that members have when it comes to savings options. Can you just break down, as a potential new member to Educators, or even a current member who may not know, what are some of the different products or different things that members are offered when it comes to savings options at Educators Credit Union?
Yeah, absolutely. The number one is our Change Up Savings Account. Now, that one is really fun, Kyle, because what it does is every time you use your debit card, it rounds up the purchase to the next dollar and then puts that change in a special change.
Oh, that's what that is.
So it's, yes.
I
so
have that.
Without even
I didn't know what it was. I got the change up account. I said, I don't know what this is. Okay.
Yep. So then what you can do is, depending on your personality, right, thing I love about our app is that it's customizable. So you can view money the way you want to view money. So like for me, what I've done in my app for ECU.com is I just turn that view off, right? So I don't even see what's in that change-up account, because if you don't see it, you ain't going to miss it. So that just keeps building and building over the course of the year. The other thing that I really love about the credit union is that direct deposit, the power of direct deposit. So now a lot of people just have their direct deposit maybe going into their savings or into their checking account. You can tell us, like, hey, every 2 weeks when I get paid, take $5 and put it in this special savings account for me. Maybe that is your vacation club. Okay, put $20 over here towards that goal that we decided we want to work on. So really getting yourself in that mindset that you have the power, and that's one of the things that we really believe in at Educators Credit Union is achieving more together. We'll sit down and show you how to do that. So when your paycheck comes in, it can get broken up amongst all your different savings goals, and then you know exactly that you're funding those goals. The last one that I absolutely love is our Saver Sweepstakes account. For the money that you put in there, you get entered in to win a monthly raffle.
Wait a minute.
It could be $1,000, could be all the way up. Yes.
So wait a minute, because I see it. So what you're saying is, for the Saver Sweepstakes, every time I deposit money into that, is there a minimum I deposit I have a chance to win money?
Yep, you got to put in at least $5 of the deposit, and that gets you entered in for the drawing.
I think I need to change up where I'm putting my money
so those
at.
Are those three. Those are three really, really easy ways for members. If you don't have those, if you're a member listening, you can chat in to any one of our agents that are willing to help you out. Next time you're stopping in the branch, say, hey, I want to get these accounts up and running. Here are some goals I want to fund. And check out that Bonsai Direct on our community page. It's really it has a budget calculator on there, has all your goals that you want to set out there. So there's really a lot that we offer our members. Again, make them thrive, not just survive with their finances.
I absolutely love that. We are speaking with Victor Frazier, Director of Community Engagement at Educators Credit Union. We're talking about how you can save in a time like this, but also on top of that, with tax day coming, how can you best save your money that you may be getting back from tax day, but more importantly, how can you budget? And Victor, can you just talk about, as people are thinking about growing their family, I know I'm in that place in life, or people just thinking about how can they be better, why is it budgeting so important?
Because budgeting is really the fundamental tool for making sure you're reaching those goals. If you don't plan to fail, you're going to fail to plan, right? So you got to make sure that what is a goal for me? And a budget, a lot of people will think about it as a diet. They're like, oh, you're restricting me. It's my money. You can't tell me. No, you got to come up with the goals. And then you have a roadmap for what's going on. So if you're starting a family, you can say, okay, our goal is for our child to go off to higher education, or maybe your goal is for them to help them with the down payment on a house when they graduate, right? You know your kids best. So start saving now. One of the things with budgeting, that'll give you the long view of the goals. It won't be like one of those things that just pops up on you. I counsel a lot of families, talking about college savings for their kids. And, it's never too late. But if it's like, a couple months before they're heading off to college and you're just starting the conversation, it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle for you and your family, as opposed to if you started maybe in kindergarten, maybe in, first, second grade, just putting some money up. So then again, what that does is it helps you make sure you're setting your family up for success, but then you can pass that generational information down. Like, hey, son, daughter, we've been saving for your college, and here's what we did. And then they can mimic behavior, right? They can see that, man, it is a good idea to budget. Budgeting does work.
No, I 100% agree with that. And Victor, before we got one last question, I want to say there's some love coming in on 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Y'all can watch and stream us live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. We got people saying there's a drawing for money at Educators. Let me get an account over there ASAP. And then also somebody said at Educators they have a coin counting machine that's free for members. My bank removed their coin counting machines. So definitely getting love inside of our chat here, throwing it towards Educators Credit Union, which has been in the community for many, many years. And lastly, Victor, I want to ask you about when it comes to credit score and credit, what should people know about their credit score and how to build credit?
The number one thing is just how to obtain your credit score and get a good look at it. Sometimes people feel like, oh, I might have had some oopsies or I made some mistakes in my younger life and my credit's just shot forever. I've been in the game for a long time, Kyle, and there's just about no situation that you can't recover from with your credit. So the number one thing is knowing how to stay on top of your credit and knowing how to monitor it. We offer Savvy Money at the credit union. It's right inside your app. I could pull up my credit score right now while I'm talking to you. Just knowing how to get to that information.
I do that
and then knowing
weekly.
How to move it.
Just really quick.
You look at it, it becomes one of those things you start to look at.
I do it weekly. And when mine dipped, I said, what in the hell is going on? But no, I absolutely, that is so cool to be able to have that app to be able to check your credit score every week.
And then just, if there are some mistakes or there's some things on there that you're like, I just don't think that this is right, go in and talk to one of our financial reps, and they'll be able to help walk you through what you need to do to kind of clean up some of that stuff that might be on there. But that's the number one thing, just having a good idea of where you're at and how you can maneuver yourself into a better position with your credit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I have been joined by Victor Frazier, Director of Community Engagement at Educators Credit Union. Victor, any last thoughts or educational tools or tips you want to share with Truth Nation before we let you go?
I would just say just check out ECU.com. If you're a member, there's a whole host of things on that site for people to use, spend some time. And again, just have that conversation with that significant other in your life to make sure that you are both on the same page and achieving your goals together.
Absolutely. Again, that is Victor Frazier, Director of Community Engagement at Educators Credit Union. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, guys. Great talking to you again. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you so much. Again, Victor Frazier coming in to drop some nuggets and some tools. As you know, we know right now when it comes to, tax day is next week, and a lot of us are getting ready to get our taxes done. So he wanted to come and drop some tools on how you can save and how you can budget and how you can best prepare what you want to do with that money. Because I know some of y'all, like I remember in college, DJ Brother, he could probably attest to this as well. I remember in college when people talk about refund checks. Now, I ain't getting no refund check. But I was jealous of people with a refund check, and then I found out what the refund check was. It was basically a refund because they gave you too much money. And so people use that money to buy cars and do all this crazy stuff instead of using that money to invest. Some of that money was grant money that they got from the university, but a lot of it was loans. And so now when we in our 20s and our 30s, we got to pay back them loans from them refund checks. So definitely, if it ain't about you being smart with your money, it's also about educating those around you. Let them know to be smart about your money, because even though the economy is dropping out right now and have a lot of people in a panic, it might be a good time for a young man or young woman who's in their 20s and maybe getting $1,000 or $1,500 back from a refund check, or maybe getting $1,000 or $3,000 back from, tax time. If you can, this be a great time to be able to invest and buy low if you can. So, or to prepare for what's to come. But again, thank you so much to Victor Frazier from Educators Credit Union, the Director of Community Engagement at Educators Credit Union, for joining us here today. Now, on the other side, Truth Nation, y'all know what it is. It's Monday, so we'll have to do our weekend recap. I'll touch on the top 3 stories that we have from the weekend, and then on top of that, we have some other great news we have to talk about as well. But keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Walls on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, the Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This may be another Elon Musk bureaucratic shuffle, or this may be whatever it is. These, Dr. Ken, are real consequences.
This is The Truth Unfiltered with Denise Thomas and Dr. Ken Harris.
I believe that there's going to be a step back and a rollback to some of those places that we're talking about making cuts because of the drastic outcome that can occur.
Sundays starting at 7 on 620 WTMJ and Mondays at 6 on 1017 The Truth.
Hey everybody, it's Melanie Ricks. You all know I love supporting a local team. That's why I'm excited to tell you about UW Credit Union. They've been serving Wisconsin for over 90 years. And when I was in school, they helped me learn how to plan for my future and make my money grow. Even now, they're still always there for me when I have questions, and they'll be there for you too. So stop by any of their 13 Milwaukee area branches or visit uwcu.org to become a UW Credit Union member today, like me. Federally insured by NCUA. Gear up for a great time as Sports Milwaukee hosts Milwaukee Tailgate Week, presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Set for April 24th to the 26th, Milwaukee Tailgate Week features a variety of gridiron activations for all ages, steeped in Milwaukee's iconic sports history, brews, restaurants, and venues. As the 2025 draft takes center stage in Green Bay, Sports Milwaukee and the Cream City are excited to welcome the football world to Wisconsin. For tickets, go to visitmilwaukee.org/tailgate. Brought to you by Visit Milwaukee. Handcrafted, homegrown, world class.
Use promo code VISIT for 50% off. This is your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
So Black women's leadership needs to be prioritized. That means a whole lot of things, but it includes a message for white women, which would be, it'll be wise for you to take our lead. We've already demonstrated everything there is to the world about who we are. We shouldn't have to keep doing that over and over again. The reality is that there are times when we got to muster up the energy to do some things we don't want to do, but I don't want that to be commonplace for me, and I certainly don't want it to be commonplace for other Black women. There's often this message that we need to stay strong because there are people depending on it. No, we need ourselves.
Yeah, you can't, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup?
Yes. And I even am hearing people say a lot more, you shouldn't pour from your cup at all until it overflows. And it's the overflow that you give. You keep the full cup for yourself.
This has been your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute. It is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Working me. She working me. Urging me. It be urging me.
Tune into the award-winning 1017 The Truth Community Spotlight tomorrow at 11:57 a.m. Between the Truth with Sherwin Hughes and Truth to Power with me, Kyle Wallace. I'll be joined by Kwabena Collins, diversity recruiter for the city of Milwaukee. We will discuss their upcoming City Hall Career and Resource Fair on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at City Hall. Find out about the amazing city jobs they offer and the great benefits as well. So again, that's the Community Spotlight tomorrow, 11:57 p.m. on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I am your host, Kyle Walls, and again, thank you so much to Victor Frazier for joining us here from Educators Credit Union, Director of Community Engagement at Educators Credit Union. But now y'all know what time it is. It was a long weekend. I need to make sure y'all up to date on everything you may have missed with our weekend recap.
Truth Nation, we know you have a busy life and the weekend went by too fast. If you missed any of the headline stories, no worries. We got you covered on the top stories you may have missed. Tap in for the weekend recap on Truth to Power. Kyle, tell Truth Nation the biggest headlines they need to know.
Truth Nation, you already know we got to go through the biggest headlines you need to know from the weekend. Make sure y'all watch and stream us live on YouTube, 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. Make sure you chime in or call in at 833-212-1017 because I have quite the story to tell. And number one story we're going to talk about is Elon Musk is sued already. Yes, lawsuit against Musk accuses him of not paying canvassers during the 2024 presidential election. Yes, 2024 presidential election where he has been sued by people for not paying them what they were supposed to be paid. Now, as you already know, Elon Musk played a huge role in trying to get people out to vote here in the state of Wisconsin. And well, what do you know? Billionaire Elon Musk is out here scamming folks. Out here completely scamming folks. And again, as you know, he attempted to bribe many Wisconsinites with money to support Brad Schimmel in this last election. And what you're finding out is that was not anything new that he was doing here in Wisconsin. It was part of a formula that he formulated during the presidential election. Now, he also, during the presidential election, did the same thing he did in Wisconsin, where he asked people about getting out to vote and signing petitions. And if he got people to sign petitions, he said not only could you get $100 for signing a petition, but for referring people, you can also get $100. And so there were people out here in Wisconsin who weren't from Wisconsin who were campaigning, going door to door to get people to sign a petition against liberal activist judges. And so now what we're finding, for those people who did that door-to-door knocking here in Wisconsin, y'all better be looking out, because some of the people that did it during the 2024 presidential election, who were knocking on doors for Elon Musk, getting people to sign petitions, and every time they got somebody to sign a petition, they were supposed to get $100 in their pocket, Well, $5 million later, it sounds like Elon Musk and his American Political Action Committee group is being sued for not paying people money. There's a gentleman who was from Pennsylvania who was door knocking, who was said to be owed $20,000. Yes, $20,000 in repayment for knocking on people's doors. So again, altogether, this lawsuit is worth $5 million. And what we should know is this, is that anything that has to do with Elon Musk and political, we should know that there's something else behind it, and it's probably a scam. That's exactly what it is, because Musk is a scam artist when it comes to this, and also a scam artist when it comes to some of the stuff that he does with his rocket ships as well. But this is what we need to know, is that just understand that Elon Musk's time with the Trump administration is probably going to be coming to an end at some point, and the next 6 months are going to play out like a drama inside of the White House as people in the administration start turning their backs on Elon Musk. It's already starting to happen. And again, I can't believe y'all voted for this complete mess that we are seeing in America, but I guess it is what it is. And I just want to give you an update on that, on Elon Musk being sued for $5 million for basically scamming people out of money. We'll see how that ends out. Next, y'all saw over the weekend the hands-off protest. I heard Benjamin and Carrie Noni Juice on Jamming with Juice talking about it. Sherwin touched on it a little bit. But over the weekend, what you saw take place was the hands-off protest. This was a national day of protest across this great country of America that was fighting and pushing back against some of the things we have seen from DOJ, who has been slicing and dicing up a lot of important departments which offer critical services to communities across the U.S. Protesters were against things like cuts like the Department of Veteran Affairs that Doge has cut, or Head Start programs, kindergarten, early childhood education program, Head Start program cuts that they have, scientific research cuts, national parks, you saw people get laid off from there, Department of Human Health Services, you saw people get laid off and then hired back because, once again, they're firing people they should not be firing because they're erratic with doing this and not strategic. You see cuts in civil rights and pending cuts to Medicaid. That is what a lot of people were protesting this weekend. Now, what I want to talk about with that news, because we all saw it, but what I want to talk about, y'all, is that I have heard black people say we should sit down and sit this one out, right? We should let go ahead, let them deal with this. We've been fighting hard enough. We tried to tell y'all, but you know what? Y'all didn't listen, so we're going to sit this one out. See, I disagree with that. I disagree that we should sit there and sit this one out. See, what I think this is a perfect time for us to take the left to say, I told you so. We should be on our I told you so campaign, not because we just want to sit there and say, I told you so. No, because we want to make sure that this sticks in people's minds, because for some reason people didn't remember what 2016 to 2020 was like with Donald Trump as president. So this needs to be I told you so tour of African Americans who significantly, male and female, don't let the numbers lie to you, 72% of African American males voted for voted for Kamala Harris. 72% of African American males voted against Donald Trump. So don't let anybody tell you that black males ain't voting for Kamala Harris. We're one of the highest voting blocks for Kamala Harris. So don't let nobody say this is our fault. This ain't got nothing to do with us. Has nothing to do with us at all. But when it comes to not gloating, but taking our told you so tour, we should do that, because we should be chastising those and let them know that they messed around and now they finding out, right? We should force them to self-evaluate to be better. This is our time to tell them to say, listen, y'all found out how bad this was, and now it's your time to point out to your family members that voted a certain way and let them know that Trump did that. Trump did that to the economy. This is the moment, this is the time that we need to take the I told you so tour to force people to have to look in the mirror and talk to their family members, because right now we're a country that prides ourselves on victory. We're a country who prides ourselves on winning, right? But ask Republicans and tell these people to ask their family members, do you really feel like you're winning? Does this country really feel like it's the greatest country in the world currently? Do you miss that old Biden who was stuttering? Yes, a lot. He was stuttering and he seemed very old. But do you miss the consistency of the president that seemed to put Americans first for real? Like, for real, there's one thing you can say about the Biden administration. You could talk about all the different things that they did, but when you look at some of the economic plans that they did, it really was to truly boost communities, boost the middle class. And so with this, I think, this is our time to gloat, because I'd rather have an old stuttering president who's tripping off, falling off of bikes than having a guy that we have right now. A guy that basically went golfing this weekend after he sent our economy into a tizzy. I'd rather have an old man like Biden whose eyes look like they halfway closed than somebody who's blowing off paying respect to fallen soldiers who lost their lives in Lithuania. Which, not enough outrage or people have talked about this scenario. I'm not sure if y'all know about this scenario or not. DJ Brother Z, have you heard about what happened in Lithuania? Just head nod, yes, no. He said he has not heard about what happened in Lithuania. Well, let me just update y'all what happened in Lithuania. During a training exercise, 4 military individuals from America were doing a training exercise in Lithuania, and they crashed and they ended up dying, right? We lost 4 great soldiers, American soldiers, lost their lives during a training exercise to prepare to defend this country against anyone that could try to attack us. Now, what's crazy about this is that these 4 soldiers lost their lives, and just like any time soldiers lose their lives overseas, typically the United States president is going to be there to welcome the fallen soldiers home as a way to respect them. But nope, not y'all, President. Donald Trump decided that he was going to skip that to go golfing. But what makes this story even more disrespectful is as the 4 fallen soldiers' bodies were loaded onto a plane to head back to America, to the families that have now lost a loved one, the Lithuanian people, the Lithuanian government, the country of Lithuania showed more respect to our soldiers than our sitting president. When those soldiers got sent home from Lithuania, the Lithuanian president was there to send them off. Military officials from Lithuania were there to send them off. Government dignitaries were there to send them off. Religious leaders were there to send them off. And also, people from Lithuania were there to send off the American members of our military who lost their life. And when those American members were sent off from the Lithuanian government, Lithuanian people, religious leaders, dignitaries, and those soldiers' bodies were brought back to America, the President of the United States was nowhere to be found because he was too busy hanging out on a golf course. I swear, y'all make any excuse for this behavior. But one thing we should all agree on is that those who sacrifice their lives deserve much more respect than a president to be going golfing instead of taking time to actually welcome them home. That 3-hour ordeal would have been very, very worth it to show respect to those who lost their lives. But let that stick in the back of your mind that Donald Trump really don't care. And lastly, the last big story from the weekend is U.S. stocks continue to slide as Trump is now not backing off his economically debilitating tariffs that he imposed last Wednesday as he coined the day Liberation Day, which is now turned into a massacre for our country's economy as it has sank. It is down 20% from a record high in February. And guess what? There's more. I didn't even know this. There's more tariffs coming on Wednesday. So buckle up, Truth Nation. This country is going to a hell in a handbasket. I hope y'all save y'all money. But based off my stories of the day, are y'all concerned yet? Is it time for black people to put on our superhero cape and come save America as we always do? Because as we already know, this country was built on the backs of African Americans. We also pushed for a better society through the backs of African Americans. We also have suffered, right? And then fought for justice to help out not just us as African Americans, but everybody. Are y'all tired of just being the sacrifice and the savior for America? Because right now it seems to me that America needs a superhero, and we know who those superheroes are. We understand who those superheroes are. 833-212-1017. Are you tired of being the sacrifice and the savior for America? 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talk to text line. We'll definitely take your calls. We'll take your texts. You can also watch and stream us live on YouTube. I see y'all in the chat. We'll definitely check out the chat as well. But on the other side, when we come back, Truth Nation, I stumbled across some information about MPS. And y'all know I really do love MPS. But I think it's time for MPS to cut bait now before the government comes for that ass. I'll tell y'all exactly what I mean coming up next. You're listening to Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
April Brewers action rounds out with the matchup against the Tigers and Athletics. Catch the series opener April 14th as the first 10,000 fans get a Brewers t-shirt designed by Unfinished Legacy. Then get Brewers collectibles at back-to-back games against the Athletics. First up, Peanuts Night on April 18th, featuring a Franklin bobble with special tickets. And don't miss a Brewers football jersey for the first 25,000 fans April 19th. Get set for an action-packed April at Brewers.com.
Want to help build a better Milwaukee? 1MKE is a nonpartisan coalition of over 70 community partners making it easier to plug in to what matters. From local services that can save you time and money, to events that build community, to voting resources to ensure your voice is heard. Whether you're new to civic engagement or ready to level up your impact, there's a place for you at 1MKE. Learn more, get involved at 1mke.org. That's 1mke.org. We are 1MKE.
This is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth for Axe Housing. Are you tired of paying a landlord rent when you should be paying yourself? Do you want to leave a financial legacy, or would you like to have a stable place to call home? Well, it's time for you to start on the path to owning your own home instead of renting. You can work with an Axe Housing coach, and they will teach you how home ownership can be a reality. Axe Housing has helped over 4,000 families in our neighborhoods. Many times your mortgage will be a lot less than what you're paying for rent. As an average Axe family who has been helped pays around $900 per month. No matter what barriers you think you're facing, Axe Housing Coaches can assist you right now. An Axe Housing Coach will help you create and stick to a plan and a budget and get you ready for home ownership. If you're not dreaming of home ownership by now, you certainly should be. Let's make it a reality with Axe Housing. Get started on a virtual orientation by clicking on axhousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Don't let where you are financially right now get in the way of your very bright future of becoming a homeowner. Axe Coaches are here to help.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
This is Associated Bank Sports Update on 101.7 The Truth. Is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Snide. The Milwaukee Brewers wrapped up their 7-game homestand with an 8-2 win over the Reds on Sunday, thanks in large part to not one, but two Jackson Chourio home runs.
1-1 pitch is a high fly ball, deep left field, bye-bye baseball. Chourio's done it again. A solo shot, and he's driven in 5 this afternoon.
Next up for the Brewers is the Rockies out in Colorado on Tuesday. And lastly, we head over to the NBA where no Giannis, no Dame, but nonetheless, the Bucks getting the 111-107 win in New Orleans. Gary Trent Jr. leading the way with 29 points. Kevin Porter Jr. added 20. And next up for the 44-34 Bucks is the Minnesota Timberwolves on Tuesday night in Milwaukee. This Sports Update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
Truth Nation, our 4th annual Tory Lowe Community Cleanup is on Saturday, April 12th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and we want you to be there. Go to truthcommunitycleanup.com to sign up to volunteer to help keep Milwaukee clean. Everyone who registers for the last cleanup site will get a free lunch provided by Cousin Subs. Register today at truthcommunitycleanup.com. That's truthcommunitycleanup.com, and beautify our city together. The Tory Lowe Community Cleanup on Saturday, April 12th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. is presented by 1MKE. We are 1MKE, and sponsored by Cousin Subs, Ray's Coca-Cola, Landmark Credit Union, U.S. Cellular, and Waste Management. 833-212-1017. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I'm Kyle Wallace, the host of Truth to Power. Now, on the other side, I kind of teased that MPS, I like MPS. And this ain't really a knock on MPS. This is more of a knock on a warning to MPS that MPS better get some stuff in order before they find themselves in trouble with the government. Now, I say that because y'all know right now, there's a new sheriff in town. I talked about it. Donald Trump, new sheriff in town, right? And the Trump administration is in charge. And you see the Trump administration is not playing around. And with the Department of Education right now, giving 10-day warnings to let people know they better get rid of anything that has to do with DEI, Linda McMahon, she coming from the top rope. She learned a lot from her husband, Vince McMahon, from WWF, now WWE, how they get down and how they can make a show of a lot of things. And the last thing Milwaukee Public Schools wants to do is be caught in the crossfire of a political battle that could do nothing but bring negativity towards a school district that is already struggling. Now, last month or maybe the month before, I talked about how the Republicans are trying to pass a law here in the state of Wisconsin that makes it a requirement that you notify parents if their student is identifying as a different individual or a different person or whatever it is when they go to school, right? Like they're changing their identity when they go to school. That was a conversation that we had about a month ago, a little over a month ago. Now, recently, Milwaukee Public Schools has been hit with a lawsuit. They have been hit with a federal funding lawsuit, right? A complaint is seeking to revoke federal funding if MPS does not rescind their gender inclusion policy. Now, I understand that when we talk about gender identity and we talk about inclusivity, that's an important thing because there are kids out here who identify as, whatever they feel they are, right? And there's parents that are supportive and there's some parents who aren't supportive. But one thing that we cannot risk is we cannot risk federal funding, additional federal funding, being cut off to Milwaukee Public Schools, a school district that we already know is in need for probably more funding because, smaller class sizes will probably lead to more success, but you got to be able to hire people and attract talent, right? You got to be able to make sure that you're financially giving these kids the best opportunity to be successful. And so currently right now, there's a conservative group that is alleging that MPS gender inclusion guidance plan is unlawful, and they filed a complaint with the United States Department of Education, Linda McMahon, and United States Department of Justice Attorney General Pam Bondi. I'm telling y'all this right now. MPS don't want nothing to do with Linda McMahon and for dang sure wants nothing to do with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. MPS wants to lay low and stay out the limelight. Unfortunately, we living in a time where we have a lot of hate going on, right? We have a lot of people, which I don't fully get it, why there's so much hate and distaste and detest for people from the LGBTQ community, but I guess it is America where they just don't like people for the color of their skin, right? And so when I look at this and I think about it, I think MPS needs to make sure that they comply with whatever policy before this goes up to a higher level than we want it to be. And so the group is claiming that the district's gender support plan and gender communication plan, basically they have forms that are used to conceal gender transition from parents. And when I think about these gender transition plans, and again, I consider myself a supporter of people who want to identify how they want to identify. But MPS, to me, there are bigger fish to fry and more things that you need to be focused on than having these identity plans. And I say this again, not to be disrespectful, because I think it's important. But when I look at the test scores from these students in MPS, when I look at them firing their facilities manager for MPS over at central office because of the issues they've had with facilities, when I look at school buildings having to be closed because of lead, when I look at Head Start program having to be cut, not because of the government, our Head Start program got cut before the government came slicing and dicing programs, but because we couldn't turn in paperwork on time. When I look at the fact that MPS held up funding for the state because they couldn't turn in their paperwork on time, to know that MPS has a policy as such that is now threatening potentially federal dollars for these students, I think MPS needs to make sure that they change up what their rules are. Because what they are suing for is they're suing to ask MPS to require for parents to be notified of any child for whom MPS maintains a secret gender support plan for without parental awareness. That within itself is a problem to me. Because for a school district that has a lot of bright spots but has some low spots as well, some places for improvement. For a district that talks about parent involvement and how they want to have more parent involvement. For a community that talks about parents need to have a choice in what's happening with their kids. I think it's a shame that MPS has a policy that is taking the power away from parenting from our parents in our community. Because we can't sit here and pick and choose what we want parents to be involved in, what we don't want them to be involved in. If we want to see the community of Milwaukee be better, if we want to see the community of Milwaukee grow, if we want to see our kids be more educated, if you want to see more engagement and participation from parents, you can't pick and choose where you want that participation to be. And so for MPS to have a policy like this that basically excludes parents from having a conversation or being able to be notified about what their child is doing at school is crazy to me. as a parent or even as a student, we all had to go to school. There was something called the progress report, right? A progress report was sent home and had to be signed by the parent so the teacher knew that the student, whether it was A's, B's, C's, D's, or F, but the parents, right, the household, the parental guidance in the household understood and knew what was happening in the classroom. How was their child achieving academically? There was even this system where behavioral system, right, where kids can get stars for the day or they get negatives for the day based off their behavior, and parents had to sign on, or parents were kept in a loop on what the child's behavior was during the school day. So, again, to think that we go from progress reports, we go from behavioral updates, we go from having teacher-parent conferences to open houses to saying that we're going to not allow parents to have access in this specific thing is crazy to me. There needs to be a movement inside of not just MPS, but inside our society where we're more accepting of those from the LGBTQ community, but more importantly, we don't take away parents' rights to be able to make a decision. And again, for MPS, out of all the school districts in the state, to have some type of policy like this that basically does not allow parents to know what is going on. It takes away their parental rights, and it basically violates their parental rights because they have no way of knowing what is happening with their child, and the school is telling the parents, we're not going to tell you if your kid comes to school and does this. It's none of your business. For a school district that should be begging and pleading for parental participation and begging and pleading for those to be a part of the conversation, it is, again, crazy to me to think that in this scenario, in this situation, they're actually saying, no, we don't want y'all to know this. Overall, as a whole, MPS needs to figure out what's important to them. And again, I stress, it is important to protect all kids, regardless of their identity, regardless of their sex, regardless of any of that. It is important to protect all students away from a potentially harmful situation at home. I understand that. But what we cannot do is we cannot dictate and control what we want to tell parents. If MPS is going to get to the district that they need to be, they're going to need to start being more open. They're going to need to start having more input, because I can tell you this right now, understanding the community I come from. When I say the community, Milwaukee black community. One thing I fully understand about our community is that we're still a work in progress when it comes to acceptance. And I promise you, well, I can't promise because there's no absolutes or guarantees that I can give. But what I can say is that more than likely, if they were to poll parents and ask parents for their participation and ask them if they are in support of the gender support program or plan that they have inside of MPS, and they spelled out what that was, it would not just be a, oh yeah, we're in agreement of that. There would be pushback. So I want to know how this gender communication plan or gender support plan, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I want to know how it came about and what input was there from parents. Was it something that they talked about maybe in a board meeting, the school board meeting where nobody was there to participate? Probably. But again, now is not the time for MPS to be playing games. MPS needs to make sure they're compliant with whatever the U.S. Department of Education is asking for and compliant with whatever the Department of Justice asks for. Because the last thing that MPS needs in this moment in time where they're making a transition with a brand new superintendent who you want to have as much of a clean slate for, the last thing we want to see, as we saw when Elon Musk brought his behind to Wisconsin, and we saw our local state election go from a state election to national spotlight that had over $100 million focused on that. If y'all think for a second that if the Trump administration or some conservatives, or even in the state some conservatives, are looking to drum up some noise, if you don't think a school district that has mostly black students that is a failing based off overall numbers, again, they have a lot of bright spots, but statistically speaking, a failing school district in a Democratic-run town city like Milwaukee would not be put up on a pedestal to be smacked down and criticized and crucified on a public stage and say we have school districts in these liberal places that are more focused on what's going on inside, with students' gender than they are students, reading and writing and understanding mathematics. You're wrong. So I highly advise MPS and those who support MPS is not to get rid of the plan, but make sure you are complying with whatever the United States Department of Justice and Education wants you to, because the last thing I want is my home MPS school district, and where I pay taxes at and I support with black students, to be in the national news, to have funding cut to them. 833-212-1017. Israel, what are your thoughts on this conversation?
Small is fine. Whatever comes with the email.
It sounds like something else is going on there. But again, 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talk to Text line. What is your thoughts on this conversation? Because again, I am very, very concerned that MPS is going to be made an example of. We have already seen MPS get made an example of when it comes to these resource school officers that they placed in schools. You have school shootings that take place, and sadly, as we saw in Madison, in schools that don't have people that look like us inside of the building. But for some reason, it was made a priority to put resource officers in our schools. I understand there's some things going on inside the schools. But the fact that MPS was made a priority, we know that when you talk about the legislator here in Wisconsin, the assembly here in Wisconsin, our students are not front of mind. And they will make an example out of MPS. They will cut funding from MPS, and they will watch our students suffer and struggle and do nothing at all about it. 833-212-1017. That's the Truth Talk to Text line. On the other side, we'll wrap up the show and have more comments and thoughts on what MPS needs to do moving forward so they do not lose their funding from the Department of Education. It is Truth to Power with Kyle Walls on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship, because that for them is freedom.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
So black women's leadership needs to be prioritized. That means a whole lot of things, but it includes a message for white women, which would be, it'll be wise for you to take our lead. We've already demonstrated everything there is to the world about who we are. We shouldn't have to keep doing that over and over again. The reality is that there are times when we got to muster up the energy to do some things we don't want to do. But I don't want that to be commonplace for me, and I certainly don't want it to be commonplace for other black women. There's often this message that we need to stay strong because there are people depending on it. No, we need ourselves.
Yeah, you can't, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup?
Yes. And I even am hearing people say a lot more, you shouldn't pour from your cup at all until it overflows. And it's the overflow that you give. You keep the full cup for yourself.
This has been your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
Saving energy and money is easier than you think. Here are 2 simple things you can do to reduce your energy use and lower your energy bill. Use thermal curtains to reduce each room's energy loss by up to 25%, and make sure vents aren't blocked by furniture or rugs to improve airflow and comfort. Simple, smart savings. Get more energy-saving tips at WeEnergies.com. Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
1, 2, 3, ho!
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Wallace. And on the other side, before I get to that, I got to let y'all know, one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices. Listen, if you or a loved one is ever injured in an accident, don't hesitate to make that one call, that's all, because Gruber will take care of you. I'm telling y'all, I got into a car accident, my back, I was cool, actually. I was cool like the first day and a half, and then all of a sudden my back started hurting. And after my back started hurting, what I did was I called my insurance company, and I told them, hey, like, my back's hurting. They said, oh, okay, we'll get back to you. Didn't hear from them. I said, you know what, bumps that. I'm going to make one call, that's all, to Gruber Law Offices, and I watched them completely handle the rest of everything. They provide the best care, the best service, and the best representation. And what I loved about them is I never paid a single penny, not a single penny, until they won my case. So get with the winning law firm today with Gruber Law Offices by visiting gruber-law.com. That's gruber-law.com, or making one call, that's all, to 414-276-6666. That's 414-276-6666 is one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices. And like I said before, we had a conversation today talking about a lot of different things, but focusing on MPS. And I'm telling y'all this right now, I love MPS. And if you live in the city of Milwaukee, you should also love MPS, because the better MPS is, the better our community is. If you live in the state of Wisconsin, you should love MPS, because if you love black people, you should love what MPS does for black people, for Hispanic people, for all Asian people, for all different students, white students. We should love MPS because they educate the most students in the state of Wisconsin. And so if they are successful, the state is successful. And when it comes to this federal lawsuit for their gender support plan that they have and communication plan it is, y'all better abide by what the federal government says, or watch MPS in the news and the headlines once again, and having people taking shots at them and trying to tear them down and taking away from the thing that's most important, and that's educating black students just like us. This has been Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. We'll have more conversation tomorrow, but the Tory Lowe Show is up next. Peace out. See y'all tomorrow.
Start jamming in the morning and get your daily drop of juice.
Juice gets you hydrated.